So when I bought this bike, I was warned that because of how Japanese taxation works and the fact that they throw away vehicles so early, maintenance isn't a high priority and they just kind of wear things out and send them on down the road to less well-regulated places in the world. And over the last week, I've discovered exactly how true that is. Welcome back to garageLaverty, where the beer's always cold and shit's always broken. So tonight, still waiting on parts to show up from Thailand. I still don't have my gaskets for the carburetors, so they're still torn apart. And I did, however, get my petcock in. Or petcock, excuse me. Or fuel valve, excuse me. This is after all, a modern age. So over the last few days, I've spent time just kind of going through the basics on the bike. Like I said in the last video, if shortcuts were worth a damn, they'd just be called the way. And I'm discovering this bike is alternately really clean and really what the fuck were you thinking in so many different ways. So started going through all the basic maintenance stuff. Went to drain the oil, found out it was brand new. Went to change the spark plugs. There's 20,000 miles on the bike, and when I pulled the plugs, I couldn't come up with a convincing reason to replace them, even though I had 4 brand new ones sitting on the shelf. They were just that clean, that new, that good. So, going through the major things on this bike, I'm like, well, while I'm waiting, start at the beginning. Cooling system, clean, topped off, fresh, everything's happy. But then we get to the brakes. And as you can see by the bottle of Moto 600 here, I've been working on this tonight. And I don't know how you ride a bike into the ground so far that you don't have brakes left. I really don't. I mean, that's kind of the one critical thing. So I was lucky enough that my local motorcycle shop actually had the pads I need in stock. I was also lucky enough that I could go on EBC's website, get their international catalog, and figure out what my part numbers were. So, combination of those things sent me home tonight with about $90 for the brake pads. And I got to work on the bike. And somehow, through the course of draining the fluid, putting the new pads in, I now don't actually have a master cylinder left. The calipers grab hard enough to flex the rotors, which is kind of frightening. But there's just nothing to the handle, so I think I have to bench bleed the master, which really blows because I don't want to do that. But take a look at this. So new brake pads come at 4.5 mil thick. And this is what I pulled off the bike. Measured it. 1.5 mil. So for those of you who are not metrically inclined, basically us here in America and Liberia at this point, I believe, 1.6 mil is the thickness of 3 mechanical pencil leads, if you remember those from school. The new pads were 4.5 mil thick. Those were toast. I don't even know how somebody was riding around on those. They were just gone, done, trashed. So, went through, bled the fluid. The fluid that was in it actually had chunks coming out of the right-hand caliper. Left-hand caliper just keeps giving me air, but strangely enough, the brakes actually move enough to flex the rotor. So, check this out. Even though I don't have a handle, you can just watch everything move. Well, maybe there's not enough light. Oh, come on. Yep, I guess there's not enough light. But if I can get you down here, you might be able to actually see the rotor deforming under brake pressure. So, yeah, it's kind of freaky. So, I got to figure out what's up with that because there's always problems here. Still waiting on carb parts. But like I said, I got a package from Japan. I would have done the whole Fast and the Furious overnight parts from Japan thing, but since I was waiting on enough other stuff, I gave it a week. It got here on its own time. And look at how much nicer this thing is than my 20-year-old beat up, chipped, collapsed pipes, rusty red, disturbingly disgusting piece. And I'm sitting here staring at it going, I want to install it, I want to install it, I want to install it. Tank's sitting right there waiting. But my Thailand gasket setup actually has ethanol safe O-rings for both this flange as well as the internal ring of the petcock. So it profits me nothing to get it installed and be all excited. So now it's going to sit here in a box taunting me until everything gets here from Thailand, which, near as the tracking tells me, is still 15 days later, sitting in the post office it's supposed to leave from. So yeah, I guess this is about where we are on the bike now. This is just kind of a quick update to let everybody know I haven't fallen off the face of the earth. Still waiting on fun stuff, but the bike's coming together. Clean oil, good plugs, fresh brakes, good coolant. It's actually safe to ride. I know there's some maintenance points I'm still going to have to address when I get back from Europe, but until then, I'll just kind of suffer on bad tires and what look to be kind of worn out rotors. And when I get back, I'll sort those both at the same time. And until then, I'm just going to keep kind of tinkering on it every night. And whenever the next big shipment of parts comes in, you guys will be the first to know. So until then, go ride a bike.